The people of Lemhi are finally back in the land of Nephi.
Ah, yes.
After their escape from the Lamanites.
So,
And, it's easy to imagine them hoping for that fresh start.
Right.
And a chance to rebuild their lives in a familiar place.
It does feel like a homecoming.
It does.
Yeah.
It really does.
But as we so often see in the scriptures,
yes,
peace is fleeting.
it is.
The Book of Mosiah, chapter 21, verse 2,
Okay.
tells us that after many days, the Lamanites began again to be stirred up in anger against the Nephites, and they began to come into the borders of the land round about. And this is really the beginning of another incredibly difficult chapter for Lemhi's people.
Yeah.
A trial that's different from anything they've faced before.
Yes, because this time the Lamanites can't kill the Nephites.
Right.
Because of the oath their king made to Lemhi. And we see that spelled out in Mosiah 21.3. Now they durst not slay them because of the oath which their king had made unto Lemhi. But they would smite them on their cheeks and exercise authority over them and began to put heavy burdens upon their backs and drive them as they would a dumb ass. So it's like a different kind of cruelty that really targets their dignity and their spirit.
Yeah.
So what do you make of this shift in the Lamanites' tactics?
Well, it kind of speaks to the complexities of human nature, doesn't it?
It does.
The Lamanites are bound by this promise,
Right.
But their anger is still simmering.
Yes.
So instead of that physical violence, they're choosing to inflict emotional and psychological pain. So it makes you wonder, is this a form of manipulation? Are they intentionally trying to break the Nephite spirits? And force them into just utter despair?
Yeah.
And I think if you think about it, it's a tactic that is sadly still relevant today. We see it in situations where individuals or groups are, oppressed, denied basic freedoms, subjected to constant humiliation.
Yes.
And the goal is often the same, to crush the human spirit.
Yeah.
And maintain control.
That's a chilling parallel.
It is.
So how did the Nephites respond to this new form of oppression?
Well, the scriptures tell us
Okay.
in Mosiah 21, 6 through 12, that they try to fight back.
They do.
Not once, not twice.
Oh, wow.
But 3 times.
3 times.
And each attempt ends in defeat.
Okay.
And heavy losses.
Wow.
So it seems like their usual tactics of warfare are ineffective against this psychological torment.
Yes, and so this is where we see them come to like a critical juncture.
Right.
They're facing an enemy that they can't defeat.
Yeah.
Through traditional means.
Yeah.
Their losses are mounting.
Yeah.
And this despair is setting in.
Right.
So it makes you ask the question, is there wisdom in recognizing when to change your tactics?
Absolutely.
When to choose a different path?
It reminds me of what King Benjamin taught his people in the Book of Mosiah, chapter 4, verse 9.
Okay.
Believe in God, believe that he is, and that he created all things, both in heaven and in earth. Believe that he has all wisdom and all power, both in heaven and in earth. Believe that man doth not comprehend all the things which the Lord can comprehend.
It's such a good reminder that we're not always meant to understand or control every situation. And there's a humility in acknowledging that sometimes the wisest course of action is to surrender to a higher power.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's exactly what we see the Nephites doing.
They do.
Beaten down, grieving.
Yeah.
They reach this turning point. A moment of profound humility.
Yes.
And submission.
Yes.
And Mosiah 21.314 really paints this vivid picture.
It does.
And they did humble themselves even to the dust, subjecting themselves to the yoke of bondage, submitting themselves to be smitten and to be driven to and fro and burdened according to the desires of their enemies. And they did humble themselves even in the depths of humility, and they did cry mightily to God. Yea, even all the day long did they cry unto their God that he would deliver them out of their afflictions.
Wow.
This isn't just about outward submission.
No.
It's about an inward shift.
It is.
A recognition of their complete reliance on God.
So they've laid down their weapons.
Yeah.
Literally and figuratively.
Yeah.
And they've turned to prayer.
Yeah.
As their primary defense.
Right.
And that is such a powerful image.
It is.
Of surrendering to the will of God.
Yeah.
Even when it's so difficult to understand his plan.
Yeah. It's a profound lesson Faith and trust. And it's not without its challenges.
Right.
We see in Mosiah 21.1 that the Lord doesn't immediately remove their hardship.
He does.
It says, "And it came to pass that the Lord did hear their cry, and did begin to soften the hearts of the Lamanites, that they began to ease their burdens. Yet the Lord did not see fit to deliver them out of bondage." So there's a gradual easing of their burdens, a softening of the Lamanites' hearts.
Yeah.
But they're still very much in captivity.
Yes.
So it begs the question, why? Why this approach?
Yeah.
Why not an instant,
Right.
miraculous deliverance?
Right. Like we always want.
Right.
Yeah.
It really challenges our human desire for instant gratification.
It does. It really does.
Doesn't it?
Yes.
We often want God to solve our problems.
On our own terms.
In our own timing.
And in our own way. Yeah.
In our own way, yeah.
Yeah.
But maybe there's wisdom in the waiting.
Mm-hmm.
Could it be that God is using this period of captivity for a deeper purpose?
Oh.
To refine their character.
Okay.
To deepen their faith.
Yes.
And to prepare them for something greater.
It's an interesting thought.
Yeah.
Instead of focusing on just escaping their current situation, they're being guided to look inward.
Right.
To examine their hearts.
Yeah.
To strengthen their relationship with God.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And this is where the details of their daily lives become so fascinating.
Yes, they do.
We see glimpses of resilience.
Yes.
Amidst the suffering. For
Yeah.
instance, Mosiah 21.17 tells us,
Okay.
there was a great number of women more than there was of men.
Mm-hmm.
Because of the heavy losses they'd suffered in battle.
Okay. Yeah.
This creates this unique social dynamic,
Yeah.
one where widows and orphans actually outnumber the men.
Yeah.
And so it leads to this system of communal support,
Okay.
right? Making sure everyone is cared for,
Yes.
that no one starves.
Yeah.
It's really a beautiful testament
It is.
to their compassion and unity.
It's a reminder that even in the darkest of times,
Right.
there's light to be found.
Absolutely.
Community.
Yeah.
And caring for one another.
Yeah.
And sharing what we have.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then just when things seem to have settled into this new normal,
Right.
something unexpected happens.
Oh.
Ammon and his brethren arrive on the scene,
Yes, they do.
bringing with them a glimmer of hope
Yeah.
and a connection to that larger Nephite community.
Yes. Now this is a pivotal moment.
It is.
But wasn't there some initial confusion?
Yes, yeah.
Didn't Limhi and his people mistake Ammon and his group for enemies?
You're exactly right.
Yeah.
It's fascinating how our past experiences can really color our perceptions.
Yeah.
In Mosiah 21.2 and 23,
Okay.
we read that King Limhi discovered Ammon and his brethren, and supposing them to be priests of Noah, therefore he caused that they should be taken and bound and cast into prison.
Mm-hmm.
Now remember, Limhi and his people are still carrying the baggage
Right.
of their past betrayal
Yes.
by King Noah and his wicked priests. So it's understandable
It is.
that their initial reaction
Yeah.
was fear and suspicion.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
It really highlights the importance of communication and understanding,
It does.
doesn't it?
It does.
They almost missed out on a great blessing
They did.
because of their fear.
Yes.
But thankfully, they eventually realized that Ammon and his group
Yes.
are allies.
Yes.
Fellow believers from the land of Zarahemla.
It's a good reminder that sometimes our fears
Yeah.
can keep us from
Absolutely.
the blessings that God has for us.
Exactly.
And that realization brings with it such a surge of hope.
It does.
They're no longer isolated.
Right.
They're connected to a larger community.
Yeah.
One that shares their faith.
Yeah.
And their desire for righteousness.
Right.
Plus, Ammon brings news of King Mosiah's gift to translate ancient languages.
Oh, yes.
Now, this is crucial because they had previously discovered records
Right.
of a lost civilization engraved on these plates of ore,
Right.
as mentioned in Mosiah 21.26-27.
Exactly.
Now, with Ammon's arrival, there's a chance to decipher these records, to unlock these secrets of the past.
It's like a door has opened.
It is.
This new possibility has emerged.
It is.
It's almost as if the Lord is saying, even in your captivity, even in your suffering, there is knowledge to be gained.
Wow.
There is wisdom to be uncovered.
And this discovery isn't without its bittersweet elements.
Right.
As they delve into these records,
Right.
they're confronted with the the tragic fate of this lost civilization.
Yeah.
And Mosiah 21.29-31 describes how Ammon and his brethren were filled with sorrow because so many of their brethren had been slain, and also that King Noah and his priests had caused the people to commit so many sins and iniquities against God.
It's heartbreaking.
They mourned for the mistakes of the past,
Yeah.
for the suffering that was caused by those who strayed from God's path.
Right.
And it's a stark reminder
It is.
that righteousness matters,
Yeah.
that our choices have consequences,
Yeah.
not just for ourselves,
Yeah.
but for generations to come.
Absolutely.
It's a powerful lesson
Yeah.
in accountability and the ripple effects of our actions.
Right.
But it's also a reminder that even in the midst of discovering new knowledge,
Yeah.
there's a need for humility,
Yeah.
for recognizing the lessons of the past,
Yeah.
and for choosing a different path.
Absolutely.
But I'm curious,
Mm-hmm.
how do they reconcile this newfound knowledge with their current situation?
Mm-hmm.
They're still under this Lamanite oppression.
Right.
They're yearning for freedom.
Yeah.
And now they're also grappling with this weight of history.
Yeah.
Seems like a lot to process.
It is. It is. And yet, amidst all of this, something truly remarkable happens.
Okay.
We see the people of Limhi, along with King Limhi himself, enter into covenants with God. Mosiah 21.32 states, "And now, since the coming of Ammon, King Limhi had also entered into a covenant with God, and also many of his people, to serve him and keep his commandments."
Wow.
So this signifies this deep commitment.
Yeah.
This desire to align themselves with God's will,
Yes.
even as they're navigating these difficult circumstances.
Yes.
It's a beautiful testament to the power of faith
It is.
to anchor us in times of uncertainty.
It really is.
Powerful, isn't it?
It is.
They're choosing to make these covenants with God even while they're living under this oppression.
Yes.
It reminds us that our relationship with God,
Right.
it isn't dependent on our circumstances.
Yeah.
It's about the condition of our hearts.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah,
It really is.
it is.
That inner strength
Yes.
and commitment,
Yes.
even when the world around you feels chaotic.
Right.
Yeah. And this commitment seems to lead them to a desire for baptism, right?
You're picking up on something really crucial there.
Yeah.
In Mosiah 21.33, we read that they were desirous to be baptized, but there was none in the land that had authority from God. And Ammon declined doing this thing, considering himself an unworthy servant.
So even though they're ready to take this outward step of faith,
Right.
they're being asked to wait.
Exactly.
Okay.
And this is where we see this really profound principle
Okay.
unfolding.
Right.
It's not just about the ritual of baptism,
Right.
but about that inner preparation,
Yes.
the state of our hearts.
Yeah.
And Ammon recognized this
Right.
and wisely guided them to focus on their spiritual readiness.
It makes you think about, are we so worried about appearing righteous
Right.
on the outside
Right.
that we neglect the inner work
The inner work. Yeah.
that truly matters to God? It's a good reminder
Absolutely.
for all of us.
Absolutely. It's about aligning those outward actions with our inward commitments. And this period of waiting, it provides them with that opportunity to delve deeper into those records that they've discovered.
Right.
Those records offer a sobering glimpse into the consequences of straying from God's path.
Yeah.
We see in Mosiah 21.29-31 where it talks about the sorrow they felt after reading about King Noah and his wicked priests who led the people astray. It's a stark reminder that righteousness matters.
And it's not just about individual righteousness, is it?
No.
Their study of these records highlights how the choices of leaders can have such a profound impact on entire societies.
You're exactly right.
Yeah.
Their history becomes this living laboratory for understanding the principles of righteousness and the cyclical nature of prosperity and captivity.
So they're wrestling with these weighty matters of faith and repentance and the consequences of disobedience, all while still living under this Lamanite oppression.
Right.
It's a lot to carry.
It is. It is. But even in the midst of their challenges, we see this glimmer of hope emerging. Remember, King Limhi, even before Ammon's arrival, had sent out a search party to try and find Zarahemla,
Right.
as mentioned in Mosiah 21.25.
Okay.
And although that initial attempt failed,
Yeah.
it demonstrates their resilience,
Yes.
their refusal to give up hope.
Yeah.
They yearn for deliverance.
They do.
And they're actively seeking a way out.
It's a good reminder
It is.
that even when we feel stuck,
Yeah.
we can still choose to look for solutions.
Absolutely.
to keep moving forward. And with Ammon's arrival, a new possibility presents itself.
Precisely.
Escape.
Yeah. Ammon, with his knowledge of the surrounding lands and his connection to Zarahemla, becomes instrumental in this endeavor.
Yeah.
Mosiah 21.36 tells us, and now all the study of Ammon and his people and King Limhi and his people was to deliver themselves out of the hands of the Lamanites and from bondage.
So we see them coming together.
Yeah.
Pooling their resources.
Yeah.
Formulating a plan. It speaks to the power of unity and collaboration.
It does.
Combining, diverse strengths to overcome a common challenge.
Exactly. And it's not just about physical escape, is it? It's about spiritual liberation as well.
Yes.
They're not just trying to break free from the Lamanites. They're striving to break free from the chains of sin and doubt that can bind us even more tightly.
They're on a journey of both outward action and inward transformation.
Absolutely.
It's fascinating how these two aspects are intertwined.
Yeah, and it reminds us that true freedom often involves both external and internal shifts.
It does.
It's not enough to just change our circumstances. We must also change our hearts.
Their story is like a tapestry, woven together with these threads of faith and resilience and repentance and this unwavering pursuit of freedom. It's a powerful reminder that even in the face of adversity, even when we can't see a clear path forward, there's always hope. There's always a reason to keep believing, to keep striving, and to keep trusting in the power of God to deliver us in his own time and in his own way.
Their journey is far from over.
That's right.
The seeds of this daring escape plan have been sown.
They have.
But what challenges and triumphs await them?
Right.
We'll delve into those details in our next discussion.
So we left off with the people of Limhi, yearning for deliverance.
Yes.
They're committed to God.
Yeah.
And they're waiting on his timing.
Right.
They're actively planning their escape, but they're also preparing their hearts.
Yeah.
And learning from the records of the past.
And they have this really strong desire to be baptized.
Yeah.
As we read in Mosiah chapter 21, verse 33.
Okay.
It says, "And it came to pass that they were desirous to be baptized, but there was none in the land that had authority from God." So this really shows their faith and their willingness to follow God's commandments.
Even though they're eager to make this public declaration of their faith,
Right.
they're counseled to wait.
Yes.
And it's like they're being taught the importance of preparation.
Yeah.
Of ensuring that their hearts are truly aligned with their outward actions.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And it's during this time of waiting
Right.
that a plan for their escape begins to kind of emerge.
It does.
And Ammon, with his knowledge of the surrounding lands, becomes instrumental in their planning.
Yeah.
We read in Mosiah chapter 21, verse 36, "And now all the study of Ammon and his people and King Limhi and his people was to deliver themselves out of the hands of the Lamanites and from bondage."
This highlights the power of teamwork and collaboration.
Yes.
They're not just individuals struggling to survive.
Right.
They're a community.
Yes.
United in their desire for freedom.
And their escape plan is actually quite ingenious.
Oh, yeah.
They decide to use the Lamanites' own traditions against them.
Oh, interesting.
During a festival where the Lamanites will be drinking and celebrating,
Right.
a group of Nephites will sneak out of the city and head for Zarahemla.
Wow.
It's a risky plan,
Very risky.
but they're willing to put their trust in God
Right.
and in each other.
And it's important to note that their plan is not just about physical escape.
Right.
It's about spiritual deliverance as well.
Yeah.
They're leaving behind a place of captivity, a place where they were subjected to humiliation and oppression.
Yeah.
And they're seeking a land where they can worship God freely
Yes.
and live according to his commandments.
Their journey really reminds us that overcoming adversity is not always a straight line.
Right.
It often involves, uncertainty and setbacks
Yeah.
and the need to adapt and adjust along the way.
But through it all, we see this guiding hand of God. He's working behind the scenes.
Yes.
Softening hearts, opening doors.
Yes.
Providing opportunities for his people to exercise their agency.
Right.
And grow in faith.
Yeah. Their story's a testament to the power of hope and resilience.
Absolutely.
Even when they're faced with these seemingly insurmountable challenges,
Right.
they never give up.
Right.
They continue to believe in a better future.
Right.
And they're willing to work for it.
Yeah. The story of the people of Limhi
Yeah.
is such a powerful reminder that God is always with us.
He is.
Even in our darkest hours.
Yeah.
He sees our struggles. He hears our prayers.
Yes.
And he is working to deliver us in his own time and in his own way.
It's true.
Their faith and resilience really inspire us.
Yes.
To keep moving forward.
Yeah.
To keep trusting in God and to never give up hope.
Yeah. Their journey, much like our own lives, is a testament to the fact that even when burdened by difficult circumstances,
right,
there is always hope.
There is.
We must always remember that our journey, just like theirs, is still being written.
It's a beautiful sentiment, isn't it?
It is.
And a powerful reminder that while we can learn from the past, our focus should always be on moving forward with faith and determination.
Well, thank you for joining us today.
It's been a pleasure.
It's been wonderful to have you.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you, our listeners, for joining us on this journey through the Book of Mosiah.
Yeah.
We hope that you've been inspired by the faith and resilience of the people of Limhi.
Absolutely.
And that you'll continue to seek God's guidance in your own lives.
Yeah.
We invite you to follow our podcast and subscribe for more discussions. Until next time.